Hello and welcome to a new edition of Cairo Local Time. Today is a special edition of the program as it is focused today on President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's current visit to Paris as he is participating in the Paris International Conference on Libya. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassem Radi said that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's participation in this important conference comes in response to the invitation of French President Emmanuel Macron and in light of strong relations between Egypt and France. French President Emmanuel Macron highlights Egypt's pivotal role in supporting a political track in Libya at bilateral, regional and international levels. Spokesman Radi added that President Sisi intends to focus during the Paris International Conference on the solidarity of the international community to support Libya and the historical turning point it is currently going through. Libya is to hold elections expected on its scheduled date next December, as well as the exit of all foreign forces, mercenaries and all foreign fighters from Libyan lands, in addition to shedding light on the ongoing Egyptian efforts in this regard at various economic, political and security levels. The President is also scheduled to hold a series of meetings with senior French officials to discuss ways of enhancing cooperation in economic, commercial, investment and military fields between the two countries. The President will also meet a number of heads of state to discuss promoting bilateral cooperation frameworks and consulting on various regional and international efforts. And to shed more light on the importance of this visit, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Ayman, Mosallam, Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering Department, University of California, and the founder of Egypt Green Building Council. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello?
Hello? Hello, Dr. Ayman?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, sir, as I've just mentioned that today in this special edition, we are going to focus on President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's current visit to France and Egyptian-French relations and means of enhancing cooperation between the two countries, as well as Egypt's participation in Paris International Conference on Libya. So let's first talk about the importance of this visit.
Well, I think the most important part is renewal of the friendship. As you know, Egypt has been in the last maybe 5, 6 years or 7 years trying to balance between the different countries, the relationship between them, instead of just being in one side like in U.S. or Russia. But the government wanted to make sure that they balance the relationship either from the economical point of view or on all other issues like the education and so forth. So that's something very important and healthy. And it is very difficult for us just to ignore a certain country for a long time, especially if we have a strong relationship. And France, for example, is then with a good relation in Egypt, even in the past maybe 300 years. You know, during Muhammad Ali al-Kabir and others. So, and so it is very critical of having that renewal of friendship, try to discuss issues, and we are going through a lot of challenges this time. So having friends in Europe and France, as you know, is one of the very influential countries in Europe, you know, besides Germany and England. And as you see, always France is a good ally for Egypt since, you know, as I said, hundreds of years. And at the same time, lately we have also collaboration from military point of view and so forth. And we have a lot of exchange in different categories, including, I think, is very important in the commercial side that we have seen a lot of development since 2009 where we have about 3 billion euros of commercial changes as I said, in only maybe 3 years. So I think that's going to benefit both sides, especially us in Egypt. And I know that's a lot of pressure to go and meet with the people. And of course, there are some people who are not happy with that. Yet I think we are gaining a good solidarity, and people can recognize that issue very well. And by having that visit, it's just showing that the relationship is great. We are still working. As you know, France is a contributor in the metro project from the beginning. And not only they are working on exchanging the information, but also in training people. So, as you know, in the government decision is to train Egyptians. So the French, with the collaboration with the Ministry of Transportation, has succeeded in training a lot of companies here and engineers, whereas it is very good news that now we are actually building our own metro station. So thanks for our friends that they help us in transferring some of the technologies, and that's what we are aiming at: renewal of the friendship, strengthening the economical and of course political issue, because we need always allies in some of the challenges that Egypt is facing in the past 7 or 8 years. And I think that Egypt has succeeded to attract more allies and our side, because all our issues are fair, and I think that's very important. And the other very important issue also is the historical relationship between France.
Historical and cultural relations also.
Of course.
Yes.
And what I want to mention is, because I'm in the educational field, Egypt and France, for a very, very long time, we have a very good history in exchanging educational scholars between the two countries. We have a lot of PhDs and professors now in Egypt that they have completed their graduate studies in France. And we're very proud. Some of our scientists actually are in France now, in University of Paris and many other universities. So it is not one way. I mean, we should also realize, yes, we need to have some people to be exposed to the new technologies in different parts of the world, but in the same time that we also been helping the educational system in France and Europe and US, where actually we don't send anybody. I mean, the majority of the people that we send for graduate studies from Egypt for the past 200 years are the cream of the crop. So they are the best of the brains of Egypt, and that's why some of them actually are retained by the universities and institutions in France and other parts of the world. So it is a mutual benefit. It's not only one way benefiting Egypt, but also France has benefited and still benefiting from our colleagues and scholars in France right now.
So, sir, in your opinion, what are the fields of the fields in Egypt that attract the French investors?
I think there's few things. One of which, and I think in the past 4 years or 5 years, we have seen jump, and I'm talking about a very neutral opinion. You know, you may know or not, I have been living in U.S. For the past 42 or 43 years. But since then, I'm always, related to Egypt, and I'm monitoring things, and I'm almost every year I'm here. So I can see out of the box. I can see the changes. There was some, years, maybe decades, maybe 20, 30 years,
I come back and forth, and the same things happening. Then suddenly, in the past maybe 8 years or so, suddenly things are changing. You can't even recognize things because
Yes.
now the roads are different, and you can see the jump, which is realized by worldwide. It's not
Yes.
only just an Egyptian opinion. And so the French people, they always look, especially the investors, for countries where you have the security, and that's very important. As you know, all the
Yes.
capital ventures always, they are worried about the security. And I think Egypt has proven in the last 5-6 years that we are one of the most secure countries now for investors.
Yes, true.
In addition to it, it's very important of the quality of life, and that's, I think, the trend from the political leadership focusing on that, although we are going through a lot of other challenges, but still, the dream became realities, and that's going to attract a lot of the investors, because if you see electricity, until now, I was in Africa the past maybe 3 weeks or so in a summit meeting, and everybody was talking about their issue with energy, the electricity interruption and things. In Egypt, we don't have that anymore.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, Professor Ayman Mosallam, Professor Dr. Ayman Mosallam, Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering Department, University of California. Thank you for being with us. And give viewers a short break and we'll be back.